Hey everybody, welcome to the Football Frenzy. Once again, I'm Paul Valley, and this is Adam Rothgeb.
What's going on, guys?
Ravens coming off a tough, hard-fought victory over the 49ers last week. They won 20-17 on the last second, time expiring. Justin Tucker, 49-yard field goal to get that 2017 victory. Lamar Jackson didn't throw for a ton of yards, 105 yards, but playing in the elements, 14-23.
Yes.
Rushed for 101 yards, his fourth 100-yard rushing game to set a new NFL record. The dude sets a new record every week, it seems.
Feels like it.
Another rushing touchdown, another passing touchdown. Still leads the NFL with 32 overall touchdowns. He did have his first lost fumble, a crucial part in the game. You felt like the Ravens were driving down the field to get another score and kind of put the game to bed. And the defender made a hell of a play.
Oh, Richard Sherman made a really good play. I mean, he's getting blocked into the ground and just stuck his hand right in the right angle and just having to pry it out on sloppy condition kind of day.
Yeah, so it was a great play, thwarted their drive. Close game throughout. I predicted a 37-16 victory. I think it could have been that lopsided had there not been rain and it was just a really, really sloppy game. The Ravens were fortunate enough to come out of the game with a victory. I will take it any day of the week, especially against a team that had the best record in football coming in. And you're looking at the Ravens now, they have beaten the top two defenses in the NFL in the Patriots and the 49ers. We'll talk about it a little bit. They're coming up facing the third overall defense in the NFL in the Buffalo Bills this weekend.
Yes.
I think we're going to see them get back to some Ravens football as far as what we've seen the previous 7 weeks before this past week. Just really beating up on teams. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Ingram, 15 carries, 59 yards, just under 4 yards a carry. Lamar accounted for 101 of the 178 yards rushing. They really couldn't get much going running the ball, but in a game like that, you're just happy to hold on to the ball, right?
Oh, of course. I mean, you're talking sloppy. I mean, cold, wet, rainy. I know. I was there, so I experienced all the conditions. I just didn't have to go play football in them. I mean, it was just brutally cold, and that wet, cold rain just soaks you through to your core, and, you know, it makes it difficult. I mean, that was the great equalizer for the 49ers, in my opinion. I mean, West Coast team coming to East Coast, playing a 1 o'clock Eastern game. You know, their bodies are set for 10 o'clock. The rain certainly helped them out. They got their running game going against our defense. They were averaging over 9 yards a clip in the first half. Mm-hmm. You know, a couple of defensive adjustments in the second half. The big one I read about earlier this week was Wink Martindale had, you know, Jalen Ferguson, the rookie, was seeing some stuff out on the edge that he hadn't really seen yet as a rookie. They made a change. Jihad Ward was inserted, got a little bit more playing time in the second half, cut that yards per carry down significantly.
Well, you mentioned
in the second
that
half.
They didn't allow a run longer than 4 yards for the last 21 minutes of the game. After getting torched in the first half, Raheem Mostert used to be on the Ravens practice squad, I think back in 2015.
It was one of them.
Broke off 146 yards and a touchdown, but they really silenced the running game for the last 21 minutes of that game when you need to dig in the trenches and win some battles. That's when they did it. That's what winning football teams do.
You're talking about big adjustments in the second half. You know, over the course of the last, I'd say maybe 10 years, it almost felt like there was no positive adjustments made at halftime with the Ravens and their defense or offense. And it just seems like this year they've got it working correctly in their favor. You know, they see something, they go in, they all talk about it, they all give positive information and make that adjustment that significantly helps them in the second half. And we saw it again this past Sunday.
Mm-hmm. And I think that another key thing to this game, despite the sloppy weather, cold, you can't really feel your hands, it's raining, it's windy, it's sloppy, only 2 turnovers in the game. One from each team. Both quarterbacks had a fumble. And, I mean, both the 49ers fumble led to the Ravens' first score. It gave them a short field, and Mark Andrews a touchdown reception. Chuck Clark coming up with the fumble. He forced the fumble. Brandon Williams fell on it. And you look at Mark Andrews, that was his 7th receiving touchdown, which ties a Ravens record for tight ends.
I think he gets an extra one this week.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, you're looking at, I think Michael Jackson back in '96 had 12 or I think he had 13 receiving touchdowns. Yeah. So that's probably out of reach. He'd really need to go off these last 4 weeks.
Yes.
But Torrey Smith next on the list at 11. Maybe he can get himself firmly in the second place here. He could. We'll see what happens there. Now they're going to take on the Bills. We mentioned that the Bills are the third-ranked defense in the NFL. They are third against the pass, allowing just 195.8 yards a game.
Yes.
They're tied for 13th against the run. They're giving up 104.2 yards a game. It's going to be better conditions. It's supposed to be 25% chance of rain from what I saw the other day. Mid-40s.
I think it even went down. I think it's down below 10% now.
Oh, wow.
As far as it's been improving. That was the first thing I did coming out of that game Sunday. I'm like, well, what's going to happen with the weather? Buffalo is the great unknown as far as weather's concerned. I mean,
absolutely.
You can get weather, lake effect snow at any given time up there, and you heard Lamar Jackson's comments after the game. He's like, I don't like throwing that wet ball. Who does as a quarterback? I mean, it's difficult. It's slippery. It's slick. It's hard. You just don't ever feel like you have a right feel for it. So mid-40s and some sunshine in Buffalo in December?
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take it every day of the week.
You don't have to worry about the elements. It does get pretty windy up in Buffalo, and that's something they may need to worry about, but I don't think that's going to be an issue.
No.
Here's the thing. Bills are 9-3.
Yes.
They got their marquee win of the year on Thanksgiving. They beat the Cowboys handily, 26-15. Josh Allen, 19-24 that game, 231 yards and a touchdown, 43 rushing yards and another touchdown.
Yes.
He's their poor man's version of Lamar Jackson. He's having himself a really nice sophomore season.
Yes, he is.
He's not turning the ball over the last several weeks like he was the first half
Since
of the year.
week 5, I just read this stat. Since week 5, he has gone 11 touchdowns to only 1 interception thrown.
There you go.
And that's basically the end all be all. The Bills were going to go as Josh Allen was going to go in his second year as a quarterback this year. So he's made the necessary strides and improvements. He still has his moments of, where the hell were you throwing that ball, or why did you throw that ball like that in that position? But all you can ask for out of a second-year quarterback is, are you making improvement? And he's making a big improvement, which is why I believe they are as good as they have been this year. Now, their marquee win, you say, is the Cowboys, and I say still, to me, I mean, it was only a 1 over 500 Cowboys team, and how good are the Cowboys, really, unless you talk to a Cowboys fan.
Well, right, and that NFC East, and we can save that for another day. I mean, they could go 7-9 and win that division. The Redskins are still in play to win the division. They can only win 6 games if they. I'm sorry, they can only win 7 games this year. If they win out, and they'll win the division.
Yes.
Right? So, not a great division the Cowboys are playing in. Still 6-6. They have too much talent to be like that.
Yes.
Bills, give them credit. They play their schedule. They've won 9 of 12 games. They're winning 75% of their games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Josh Allen, 430 rushing yards this year. He has 8 rushing touchdowns. Yep. You know, and that team goes, like you said, they go as Josh Allen goes. That team is really set up for a long-term success with Allen at quarterback, and then they have Devin Singletary at running back. They have 3 guys over 430 yards rushing in Allen, Singletary, and Gore. Now, Gore's averaging 3.8 yards per carry, but that's
terrible. At 36 years old, third all-time in rushing. I mean, to average 3.8, I mean, you're doing something at that age. As long as he's been playing, I mean, you can't take anything away from the guy.
Absolutely. And that defense, Jordan Phillips, Shaq Lawson, Ed Oliver, they all have 5+ sacks. The defense as a whole, 15 takeaways. Now, they're only +2 in the turnover margin because they've given the ball away 13 times. But like you said, 7 of Josh Allen's first 8 interceptions, 7 of them came in the first 5 weeks of the season, first 4 weeks of the season.
A lot of his fumbles as well.
Yeah, so they're really protecting the football right there. This presents a bit of a challenge, right? Now, they're the 13th ranked rushing defense. The Ravens have really been able to decimate a lot of really good rush defenses this year. Even the 49ers, with arguably the best front 7 in football, gave up 178 rushing yards on a sloppy day in Baltimore.
I think that was held down just because of that slop. Significantly held down because of that slop. And even the passing game was significantly held down by the slop that we played in. I mean, sitting in that stadium, I felt it just terribly cold. I can only imagine going out there and getting hit and feeling that to your core, plus the cold, wet rain and the wind. And how about Justin Tucker with that 49-yard game-winning field goal? I mean, you can't say enough about having that at your disposal. I mean, I just saw the Colts brought in San Francisco's backup kicker. They've been using McGlinchey or whatever his name, McLaughlin or whatever. because Vinatieri is not Vinatieri anymore.
Well, and he had an MRI on his knee. He's got a knee injury right now.
He's done.
Yeah, I think he's done too. I mean, but credit to that guy, man. He loves to play football. 46 years old, still kicking in the NFL.
Yep.
When I'm 46, I'll be lucky if I can walk comfortably. And this guy's kicking in the NFL, right? So, and that's going to bring me to my moment of shade when we're talking about this Ravens and Bills game, because, and my shade goes to all of these fans of every team that lines up against the Ravens. It's always, oh, we have the blueprint to stop the Ravens offense. We need to really play well against the pass and try and shut down the run as much as possible, make Lamar beat us with the throw. The 49ers showed us a blueprint on how to beat the Ravens. Yeah, the blueprint. The number one defense in the league, the best front seven in football, 35 degrees, and a monsoon playing in slop. That is the blueprint to slow down Lamar Jackson. And guess what? You slowed him down, and he still rushed for 100 yards and still came away with a victory. That 49ers defense that Bills defense is good.
Yes.
They ain't the 49ers.
No,
they ain't the 49ers. You talk about three guys on the Bills that have 5+ sacks. You have three guys on the Niners that have 7+ sacks. So it's one of those things where there is no blueprint to stop Lamar Jackson. You're not going to get a monsoon against him. And they still ran for 178 yards. Good luck. The Bills, they have all the talent in the world, but Lamar Jackson's talent so far and away exceeds everything else that's been lined up against him this year. It's going to take a year or two for anybody to be able to figure out how to stop him, and he'll just keep adjusting and getting better. He is 22 years old, 16-3 in his career as a starter.
You can't hope for Mother Nature. You just can't. So what's your plan? Oh, we need to do exactly what San Francisco did. Well, do you have San Francisco's speedy linebackers, which assisted in how they were able to shut us down on the edges with our running game? No. Buffalo does not possess that. No other team in the league possesses that. Are they maybe a touch better maybe in the secondary? I would probably lean yes, in my opinion. But I think San Francisco's pass defense is helped out, aided by the fact that their front four is so imposing with their pressure on a quarterback. So the Bills, look, any fan of a team can sit there and ramble off at the mouth about whatever they want. And this is me going into my shade here. And I hear it, and I've been hearing it and seeing it and reading it. The fans of the Eagles and Cowboys especially. I mean, I just saw the other day how Skip Bayless, and we all know who Skip Bayless is, it was trying to make the argument that Dak Prescott is probably second in the league in MVP voting. Now, stop me if I'm wrong, but again, they're 6-16, correct?
Yep.
6-6. They're a 500 team. So you're going to make an argument to the public that man deserves to be second in the MVP balloting because of what he's done for his team this year. Gotten them to 6-6, 500.
Well, and you look at that team.
That's fantastic.
Ezekiel Elliott is leading the NFL in first half carries, and then he is nowhere near the top in second half carries, which means they're putting the ball in Dak's hands at the end of the game to win them games, and they're 6-6, and they have not beaten a team with a winning record this year. How is that an MVP?
They're not an MVP. And you Eagles fans, shut up. Shut up. I think y'all are starting to realize we paid a quarterback we shouldn't have paid in Carson Wentz. A whole lot of film out on him right now. There's 3 solid years of him competing in the NFL now. I'm not seeing it. He has regressed every single year. You let Nick Foles go because you can't afford to pay him starter money to be a backup. Get it. But he's Nick Foles. He can't start for an entire season and lead you to promised land. Hence, he's on the bench down in Jacksonville while Gardner Minshew is going to start again this week. So, we make the playoffs, we're going to make that Super Bowl run.
No, you're not.
What in God's name have you shown as a team? And as a fan of this team, how can you legitimately give your team any semblance of a backing to say, yes, they can make that Super Bowl run? Cowboys have all the talent in the world. The Eagles have all the talent in the world. If you don't do it somewhat consistently in the regular season, what in God's name makes you think you can do it in the playoffs when you face even better teams every single week? I'm tired of hearing it. Shut up already. Just shut up.
Well, and you can't lose to the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
And expect to even make the playoffs, let alone make
the
the playoffs.
Cowboys did them a favor. Did them a favor by losing on Thanksgiving. Eagles, all you had to do, win that game. You're tied at the top with Dallas still in front because they have the head-to-head against you.
Mm-hmm. But a key matchup
and a better division record. But you have a matchup with them coming up in a couple of weeks. And what do? You go lose to the damn Miami Dolphins.
Devontae Parker put on a clinic.
He went off on that secondary. You cannot tell me that's a team that can compete for a championship.
Not this year. What I will say,
maybe next year.
What I will say with the Eagles, and then we'll move on to other things. They are decimated in their secondary. Their receiving core is decimated. I saw a stat the other day that they have 7 touchdown passes dropped in the fourth quarter this year. And I can't remember if it was 7 touchdown passes or 7 go-ahead touchdown passes. I think it's just 7 touchdown passes dropped in the fourth quarter. So Carson Wentz, he's not having a great year. He's looked bad at times. But when they're bringing Jordan Matthews back to the team to try and be one of his top receivers, when Nelson Aguilar can't catch the ball, and when Alshon Jeffrey can't stay on the field, and Zach Ertz has been hurt. Yeah. I give Wentz a pass. I want to see what he can do next year when the team's healthy, and if they stay healthy. Not going to say hopefully because I'm not really an Eagles fan, but if they stay healthy, I think Carson Wentz is better than what he's shown this year.
I get it, but sooner or later the Bucs, when you sign that kind of a contract, I'm sorry, it comes with the territory, and the Bucs going to stop with that contract. And what are you doing for me right now? Now look, I don't like Tom Brady any more than the next guy, but the dude still goes out there and produces. He has just as little amount of weapons on offense as Carson Wentz has this year. He just went for over 300 yards against the Houston Texans.
Some of that was in garbage time. We're about to
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's not true, but to still even put up any numbers, and he hasn't put up the best numbers this year, but he's still got them at 10-2 right now. So you can't argue the fact that you got to do what did Aaron Rodgers do with Devontae Adams out for all that time? Still put up numbers. Still won ball games. You still got to find a way. Nobody's going to fret and harp on, we have this guy out, and this guy out, and this guy out, and this guy out. Okay, so your job is to perform. Help the other guys around you perform even better. If you have to simplify your offense, defense, special teams, whatever the case may be, you simplify it. You make it so it's the easiest stuff you could possibly run that everybody's comfortable doing and does it very well, and then you just do the best you can, and I don't think they're doing the best they can. I honestly just don't see it.
I get it, man. I get it. But all right, enough about the Eagles. Let's move on to the playoff push, right? Because it's getting dicey.
Yes.
Patriots did us a huge favor.
Thank you.
Lost to the Texans.
Thank you, Houston.
And that final score was 28-22. That game was not that close.
No, it was not that close.
And you mentioned Tom Brady put up big numbers the other night. I was facing a guy in my fantasy playoffs in one of my 2 leagues who had Tom Brady and Julian Edelman, and I'm beating him 118-62 with 4 minutes left in that game. And then Tom Brady and Julian Edelman combined for 28 fantasy points in the game's last 4 minutes. And then I'm projected to lose 126-118. If Dalvin Cook didn't get hurt in the third quarter, I ended up winning that matchup 118-112 because Dalvin Cook got hurt in the third quarter and Stephon Diggs didn't record a catch after the half. So that's neither here nor there. Just I was, heart palpitations in my fantasy
Personal
playoffs.
vengeance.
A league I feel like I should have won every year and I've never won yet. So I'm trying to win it even though I have one healthy running back. Getting after it.
Yay.
Anyway, Deshaun Watson lit up that Pats secondary.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He had a quarterback rating of 140.7. His QBR was 78.7. Now, QBR takes into effect game conditions, it takes into effect clutch stats and stuff like that.
Yes.
By comparison, Tom Brady threw for over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. His quarterback rating was 85.9. His QBR is 27.2. That tells you that score was not a 6-point game.
No.
Deshaun Watson, 234 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did whatever he wanted to do with the football on Sunday night. And with that loss, the Ravens are now the number 1 seed, not only in the AFC, they're the number 1 seed in the NFL because they beat the other teams. I don't know, because the Saints are the number 1 seed in the NFC. when they beat the 49ers before the Seahawks played on Monday, the Ravens were the number 1 seed in the NFL. Now they're still at the top of the power rankings. Anyway, I'm losing track here. The Patriots are now playing the Chiefs on Sunday.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes hasn't looked great.
No, he
but
hasn't.
He did what he needed to do to beat the Raiders the other night. We'll get to that in a second. Patriots could have 3 losses after this weekend. I think it's a good shot.
They could. They very well could. It's a bad Kansas City defense.
Mm-hmm.
It's
a bad New England offense.
It's a very, very bad. Well, what's the cure all for a bad offense? Face a bad defense.
That's true.
I mean, you just never know. You never know with that team. I'll never count out the Patriots until they tell me they can't do it anymore, because we've all been sitting there wishing, hoping, praying. This is the last year, right? Well, we've been saying it since freaking 2002, so it ain't changed yet. So, I mean, until Kansas City proves it, Mahomes is still injured. He's not 100%. It is what it is. He's doing everything he can, but I just wish that defense could play for him the way they played for their backup quarterback those couple of weeks he was out. That would make that team so much better and so much more dangerous. But
well, I'll tell you what. If the Patriots lose to the Chiefs on Sunday, the Ravens have to win this week, because if the Ravens lose and the Bills win out, including a win over the Patriots, the Bills are the number one seed. The Ravens can clinch the division with a win this week. If they win, they clinch the division. They got to beat the Bills. Chiefs need to beat the Patriots. Get a little bit of breathing room in there.
Yep.
And, see what happens at the end of the year. I'd rather the Ravens be 11-2 with a kung fu grip on that 1 seed than the alternative.
Very firm.
Take care of the Bills. Chiefs hopefully take care of the Patriots. We'll see what happens. The Chiefs. This could have been a segment of Shade too, because they played the Raiders the other day, and that Raiders-Chiefs game got flexed to 4:25. Ravens stayed at 1 o'clock, which worked in their favor. It was also they would have had to switch TV stations to get the 4:25 time slot. That game, I knew it was going to be at least a 17-point win for the Chiefs. They won that game 40-9. 40-9. It was never competitive. Derek Carr threw 2 more interceptions, including a second straight week with a pick 6. He got benched the week before. You can see why. He threw 4 interceptions in the season's first 4 games. He's thrown 4 interceptions his last 3 games now. This team, the Raiders, I think that they have a bright future, but I think that they got here a year too early.
Yeah, a little early for that. A little early.
I think
they've got some pieces. They have to get a few more pieces, especially defensively. They're lacking in their secondary big time. They need a significant upgrade at linebacker, in my opinion. They got a little bit of a pass rush working this year with their first round pick from this past draft, one of their first round picks. They got a stud at running back with another first round pick in Josh Jacobs. I mean, that guy's going to be hell to play with for his entire career, as long as he stays healthy. They're just early. They're a little early, and they have how many first round picks in the next couple of years? I mean, they're loaded and they're set up to compete cheap for the next couple of years.
All those draft picks, yeah.
Hopefully, you just fix a few problems here, make a couple adjustments, and the Raiders are right back at it next year, and maybe get a significant run at the Chiefs, who are going to have to pony up that dough to Patrick Mahomes at the tune of probably $40 million plus a year. Probably.
And you look at that game, and the Raiders outgained Kansas City 332-259. They controlled the clock 31-41 to 28-19.
Yeah.
But they lost a turnover battle 3-0.
That's big time.
And Kansas City had 3 rushing touchdowns. Mahomes threw for 175 yards and 1 touchdown. And they won that game 40-9. This is a team that won a football game 40-9, and Patrick Mahomes threw for under 200 yards and 1 lone touchdown.
Yeah, it was bad.
You talked about how bad that Kansas City defense is. They shut down the Raiders, forced 3 turnovers. If they play like that against the Patriots, look out.
Yep.
Moving on, Steelers play the Cardinals, and I don't know if the Steelers are just good or if they're lucky, because their schedule is garbage. They're playing nobody. They got the Bengals, the underachieving Browns. They're playing the Dolphins, the Cardinals. You know what I mean? They have that great defense, right? But they're on their 3rd quarterback, Devlin Hodges, 14 of 21, 212 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Baker Mayfield in that game. And the Steelers played the Browns. They beat them 20-13. Baker Mayfield, he hurt his hand. He left for a couple of plays. 18 of 32, 196 yards, touchdown, interception. Back-to-back games now with a turnover after going 3 games without turning the ball over. He was starting to kind of make believers out of everybody. And then he comes out against the Steelers, a division rival, a game they need to win to stay in the playoff hunt, and he craps the bed.
Again.
And it's... The Steelers have like I said, they have a good defense. They're playing well. They might get James Conner back this weekend. Remains to be seen.
A little iffy.
But they're only third-string quarterback and they're beating teams. Like, what is going on with they have a chance to win a wild card. Now, the Cardinals air the ball out.
Yeah,
and Kyler Murray didn't have a great game last week. This game is in Arizona, which works into the Cardinals' favor. Is this a game the Cardinals can win?
My heart says yes, but my head sticks to me and says, yeah, I just don't see it because their offensive line is porous.
Mm-hmm.
And with Dupree and Watt coming off the edge, chasing Kyler Murray around and sending him right back up the middle to Cam Hayward, it just spells trouble to me for Arizona's offense. They've been slowed down the last couple of weeks. He hasn't looked great. Maybe it's that rookie wall he's hitting right now. Their defense isn't very good. Now, they can get after the quarterback a little bit with Suggs and Chandler Jones, but I don't. It could be an ugly game, or it could be one of those, hell, they're all shooting it out and let's see what happens. I mean, yeah, it's one of those toss-em-up games. I don't really have a feel for it. I haven't watched the Cardinals a whole lot since the Ravens played them week 2 of the season, but it just seems like they're both set up to. It's not a game I'd want to watch. I know that.
Yeah. Well, it's probably a game I'll end up watching.
Probably.
But Steelers can do the Ravens another favor by losing this game.
Lose it, please.
You move on. The Browns are playing the Bengals. That game doesn't even matter.
Browns are done.
Their season's done. They're 2 games behind the 6th seed Steelers with 4 games to play. They have a bunch of teams in front of them, like the Raiders and the Titans and the Colts. So this is a team that needs to win out, and they got a rematch with Baltimore, who's coming in there pissed off about that 40-25 game coming up here in Week 16. Their season is over. Do we even need to talk about it?
The Browns are done. Their coach, he's not even going to be their head coach next year. I mean, what kind of a jackass really comes into the week after what happened 2 weeks ago against a division rival, wearing a T-shirt all week saying, Steelers started it. What? You're the head coach. What kind of example are you setting for the rest of your team? If that's the example you're going to set, dude, you done lost him. You done lost him a long time ago, and they're going to fire him. They're going to get rid of him. If they don't, they're dumb, in my opinion. They might even look to trade OBJ in the offseason. I don't see where it's helping him. I really honestly don't. I don't see where it's going to help Baker Mayfield. I think he was better off suited to spread the ball around and not worry about how many targets he's got to give OBJ, because sooner or later he's going to start being Evan. So it's just going to be the way it's going to be.
Well, rumor has it that he already is, being an
quietly,
Evan. Bitching and
right
moaning.
now.
We can say bitching and moaning on the
quietly,
show.
He is.
He came out saying there's no place else he wants to be, but rumblings are that he wants out.
It's when he starts speaking loudly to the media and making a scene on the sidelines is when it's going to start becoming a real problem. So
you know what, though, I have to say, to his credit, with all the stuff that's going on with like Antonio Brown and all these divas in the NFL, he's been quiet this year.
So I think it helps that he's playing with one of his best friends in Jarvis Landry. They went to college together at LSU. I mean, can you imagine if LSU had a quarterback back when they were playing wide receiver? Imagine Joe Burrow throwing to those 2 guys.
Right.
Good Lord. I think that helps a little bit, but your best friend can only keep quiet for so long when you're miserable playing the game in Cleveland of all places. So
absolutely. Well, they have a lot to work on in the off season.
Yes, they do.
Moving on, we mentioned a team that's ahead of the Browns in the playoff hunt, and that's the Colts. And what they did on Sunday against the Titans is a travesty. There's a little over 5 minutes left in that game. That game is tied 17-17. They're lining up for the go-ahead field goal. 5 minutes left in the game. Blocked. Returned 63 yards for a touchdown. They get the ball back. 2 plays later, interception. Then you have a 40-yard touchdown pass by Tannehill to Suckup. Then they get the ball back again, and they fumble. And then the Titans get the ball back, kneel on it, game over. Titans win that game. A game that was 17-17 with 5 minutes left.
Yep.
Turns out to be a blowout. A 31-17 win. The Colts' last 3 possessions, blocked field goal return for a touchdown, interception that led to a touchdown, fumble. This team, even with Brissett back now, we knew they were going to miss Andrew Luck. And they started the year not missing Andrew Luck. Yeah. But boy, do they miss Andrew Luck right now.
Big time.
And T.Y. Hilton has been injured, dropped a key pass last week. This is one of those things where they're 6-6. They're still in the playoff hunt. You know, they win a game or two, and the Steelers lose a game or two. They're right back in this thing,
yes,
but they can't get out of their own way to spite themselves.
They can't. They're stuck in mud right now. They're going backwards basically. So everything's uphill, and ever since he got injured, literally ever since Brissett got injured, I think it really seriously changed the course of this team's future.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking about a team that just came off of beating the Texans. They beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. I mean, you're talking about a team that was on a roll. I mean, they were rolling. Everybody's talking, damn, mate, are the Colts one of the best teams in football right now? I mean, and then Brissett goes down with that injury. And ever since then, it just seemed like the tide's turned, and he's not 100%, and the team just isn't 100%, like, focus-wise. I don't know what it is. There's something to miss. And I like Frank Reich. He's a hell of a coach, former Maryland quarterback back in the 80s, led one of the greatest comebacks and probably the greatest comeback in college football history, as well as NFL history. You're talking about the Terps against Miami, and I think it was 82 or something like that, and then you're talking about Frank Reich in the playoffs against the Houston Oilers for the Buffalo Bills. So
pretty amazing.
In '91, so it's they have some talent. Now they're again another team that's missing a couple pieces on defense, especially defense. Their secondary isn't very good, a little porous. They have a decent front seven, nothing that's gonna make you write home about, but maybe next year. I don't see it this year. I just don't. For whatever reason, I don't see it.
They're taking on the Buccaneers, and they have Jameis Winston, who did not get a vote of confidence from Bruce Arians. And when they asked him about his future with the team, he says, "I'll let you know about that at the end of December." And so if Jameis is ever going to be motivated to go out there and ball out, it's going to be this week. But if the Colts are ever motivated to go out there and say, "Hey, we're still in this," it's going to be against Jameis Winston, who leads the NFL in interceptions by a wide margin. I think he's terrible. I can't say terrible quarterback because he throws for over 300 yards 7 or 8 times this year.
Still a terrible quarterback.
But he's not a smart quarterback. But he turns the ball over. He's like a gunslinger, but not the good kind.
No.
But we'll see how that game goes. Bucs aren't playing really for anything. They're just playing to save face and salvage a pretty bad season.
2 hell of receivers, though.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Mike Evans and Chris Goodwin.
That is how bad Jameis Winston is. He has 2,000-yard receivers on his team. He's still leading the NFL in interceptions and can't get that team over the hump. They need a running back. They need a running game. But that's the NFC. We don't need to worry about that. That's not a playoff team. The team that the Colts just lost to, the Titans. They lost to Denver 16-0 back on October 20th. Mariota got benched at halftime. Yep. That's when Tannehill took over. In the 6 games since, they are 5-1. Derrick Henry has gone freaking nuts. We talked about this last week. Now he has his 3rd straight 100-yard game. I think over 140 yards again this past week. Tannehill is leading that team down the field. That team is playing with a new level of confidence. That's a team you need to worry about. Yes. Not about making the playoffs. The Steelers, they don't need to worry. They don't need to look behind them, except for at the Tennessee Titans, in my opinion.
The Titans have definitely turned their season around. They're starting to prove me wrong. I always wait and say, when are they going to become the Tennessee Titans again? The Titans are just that 8-8 team. They just always displayed that we have some talent, but not enough talent. Now, regular season, yes, I can see. I don't see Tannehill producing like this in the playoffs.
He's got to play some damn good teams if he gets there. I
don't see it. But they are concerned because of how they run the ball and they play a really solid defense. Very solid defense. Good at pretty much above average at every level. You know, their defensive line, their linebacking core, and their secondary is very, very above average at every level. But if you shut down Derrick Henry, you answer all your problems.
Mm-hmm.
What else are you going to do? You trust Tannehill to throw the ball 40 times in a game? I certainly don't. Now, maybe he's resurrected his career. He's earned himself a big payday this offseason. I know that. So, they're a concern in AFC. They are a concern, but we'll see what happens with that one.
Can the Raiders stop Derrick Henry?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
I don't think
Probably
so.
not, right?
I don't think they have the defensive wherewithal to hold him down for an entire game. Maybe the first half you can slow him down, maybe hold him to, I don't know, maybe 35 yards or something on 12 carries, but then he gets another 12 to 15 in the second half, and it's, boom, he ran for 110 on you.
Because he's a bruising style runner. That's
Physical,
like Jamal Lewis, where he
man.
beats on you until you can't do it anymore, and then he runs through you. Now, that should be a win for the Titans.
Yes.
Yeah, the Texans taking on the Broncos. Drew Lock making his second start, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns for the Broncos. And we'll try and speed this up. I know we're getting a little long-winded here, guys. Thanks for sticking with us.
Yes, appreciate it.
Texans are taking on the Broncos. They need to win that game because they have 2 matchups in the last 3 weeks against those Titans. Now, the Titans also have sandwiched in between those games a game against the Saints. Probably going to lose that game. The Titans need to win every game that they can win. If the Texans lose this week, and then the Titans beat them twice.
You're talking about the division.
The Titans could win this division.
Yes.
Titans could absolutely win this division. You're looking at the Texans. Both teams would be 9-7, but they would have the 2-0 head-to-head.
Yep.
Big last 4 weeks of the season coming up for both of these teams. Going to be really interesting to see where the cards lay.
Yeah.
After all this. So we'll see how that goes. We got to get to our predictions now. Last week, I think you went first.
Yes, I did.
All right, so I'm going to go first this time. Predictions here. Lamar Jackson, I'm getting pretty specific here now. I think he's going 17 of 26.
Damn.
225 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's probably going to rush for about 65, 70 yards because that's just what he does every game. And maybe a touchdown. I got Ingram getting 70 yards. I don't think this is a game where he gets back on that 100-yard streak again. 70 yards and a touchdown. I think the defense is going to force 3 turnovers in this game. I think there's going to be a couple of interceptions and a fumble. At some point in this game, I think it's all going to be Josh Allen turning the ball over. He's been playing above his head recently. I think he's going to get back on that turnover schneid there. Hurst, he only had 3 catches for 21 yards in the last game. I think he was your unsung hero that you picked. But he had some great drive-extending catches in that sloppy weather.
Yes.
I think they're going to reward him this week. They gave him the game ball last week. I think he gets the in-game reward of getting a touchdown. I got the Ravens winning this one 27-13.
I like it. I'm along the same lines as you with this one. I think Lamar goes for 250 plus in the air.
Oh, yeah.
I think he does.
Against a third-ranked pass defense.
I do. I just, him in good weather, they're going to be so concerned with that running game. You stop the running game, then okay, well, I'll just beat you from the pocket. I mean, he leads the league, and he leads the NFL in touchdown passes from the pocket
and passer rating, I believe.
So, okay, I'll take it, and I don't. He breaks Vic's single season rush record this week as well. He does get that, 67 yards, I believe, is what he needs. So he's going to break that record. I think the combination, you're looking at about another 200-yard rushing game.
Yeah.
Collectively as a unit out of Lamar, Ingram, Gus, and Justice Hill, I think, who slowly seems to get a little bit more traction in this offense week to week. My unsung hero, I think Buffalo's best corner is Tre'Davious White. Who's he going to be shadowing or playing over top more often? Probably Hollywood. I think Miles Boykin has a pretty good day. Five catches. Five catches. I think he has 5 catches for at least 65 yards and a touch.
Well, Lamar's been getting Snead involved, been getting Seth Roberts involved.
He's been hitting his receivers a little bit more.
Boykin might be the next in line.
I think he is. So I'm looking at about a 30-14 score, all Ravens.
Yeah, I think the Ravens will handle this one from start to finish. Hopefully we're right. Hopefully we're talking about another win here, the 9th straight for the Ravens for the number 1 seed in the AFC. Looking at home field advantage, throughout the playoffs as we sit here right now.
First time in
I got
history.
online and tried to buy some AFC Championship game tickets this morning. They were sold out.
Oh.
So maybe Jimmy Seafood will be doing... Jimmy Seafood giving you a plug.
Hey, come on, Jimmy's.
Maybe they'll be doing a package for that. We'll see how it goes. Guys, thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for watching the show and tuning in weekly. We'll be back next week to talk about hopefully win over the Bills. Until then, as always, go Ravens.
Let's
Thanks
go.
for tuning in.